Chapter 55:18. That's what you can do. Jian Wushuang calmly said, being a janitor, I'm a little unqualified. The master of the Senate Palace watched the gate, but the ancestor of the Qing dynasty, the sixth-order peak emperor, although the origin is not complete, but he cultivated the swordsmanship, which can make up for the incompleteness. The violent kendo can harden the sixth order of the Senate Palace. The peak emperor. Tianzong is really not enough to be able to beat the supernatant. Being so excited by him, Tianzong's expression was a little stubborn. Obviously he didn't expect him to be so difficult. It is obvious that he only has the level of a sixth-order ordinary emperor, and he can actually be like this. There is a kind, don't hide. Tianzong yelled. This time he took the initiative. It's just too slow in speed. Jian Wushuang behind his hands, jokingly said, Are you a water monkey? So slow. Turned around a bit, dodging a sharp punch, Jian Wushuang raised his hand with a sword, and Jian hit his dead hand. The opponent didn't dare to kill him, but he dared to kill him. Idiot. Jian Wushuang dropped a word and disappeared again. Although he was calm on the surface, he was a little bit ignorant in his heart. He couldn't hurt Tianzong with a single sword, but Tianzong could punch him half to death. 50,000 times the body, and 59,000 times the divine body, there is a big gap. Even if it is suppressed by its origin, it is only a daoist after all. When appeared again, Jian Wushuang put away the Jueyun sword, the black aura on his body also dissipated, and a green mist surrounded him. The power of life. This is his most powerful force. The strong life force is running wildly, his divine body burst out with super strength, and the origin has also been greatly increased. As long as life is present, power is eternal. Jian Wushuang suddenly clenched his fists and shouted angrily, Tianzhou, the sky is changing, and the surrounding sea water reverses the rapids. If the previous fight was considered a warm-up, then now it is a real killer. This breath directly made everyone in the Senate Palace clearly feel it. At this time, many people have gathered around. Look, it's Jian Wushuang. Why did he fight with the people from Fu Shou-tang? Someone wondered. If you don't understand, you will understand. Yuan Laro Palace is so big, some things, as long as you do, it is difficult to have an impervious wall. The key point is that the master of Fu Shou-tang did not hide it, and even put down an invitation to entertain the quartet. You don't even know this. I heard that it was the master of Fu Shou-tang who forcibly occupied Jian Wushuang's maid. An old brother just finished speaking. He was interrupted by another better-informed person and said, What kind of maid? That person is Gong Miaoi, the fifth-order peak emperor. The strength is not weak. Jian Wushuang. How can there be such a strong? The maid must be Jian Wushuang's Taoist companion. What? Dao couple? There are more people watching the theater at this time. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation after hearing that the master of Fu Shou-tang had occupied Jian Wushuang's Taoist couple. This Fu Shou-tang deceives people too much. The first to support Jian Wushuang is the inheritor. Because Jian Wushuang is also an inheritor. Is natural. And it's still a creature of the universe. Fortunately, the first batch of inheritors have a high status in the four secret realms, the Senate Palace or the Temple. But as more and more inheritors follow, the Palace of the Elders does not value these inheritors. Especially after the Senate Palace has developed so many treasures and attracted many inheritors, the Senate Palace has become even more unscrupulous. Except for some individual inheritors, the rest are treated as emperors of the four secret realms. Like some treasures, the inheritors should be free to enter, but for huge benefits, there are still private charges. Like when Jian Wushuang entered the valley, the opponent opened his mouth and asked for 100 million cubes of sacred stone. Treating his own people, but not taking any money. If it is a stronger inheritor, the fee will be lower. Except for the North Watch Tower and Maureen Mountain, the prices in other places are ridiculously expensive. Is obviously taking the inheritor as a fool. After all, coming out of the Tomb Mountain, the treasures on his body must be indispensable. Now the inheritors have been grudges for a long time. These things were done by Fu Shou-tang, and now Jian Wushuang has a dispute with the other side, and they are obviously on Jian Wushuang's side. Those emperors in the four secret realms did not dare to stand in disorder. These people have no background. Jian Wushuang also sensed many pairs of eyes looking at him, and a smile leaked from the bottom of his heart. This is what he wants. Tianzhou, you deceived me so much, I cut off your dog's head today. Jian Wushuang's aura surged again. The power of that punch is enough to match the top emperor of Tier 6. This is not over yet. He still has a stronger whole card. Life universe. One thought of the universe is the formation of thought power, then the power of devouring is lowered to condense the black hole, and finally everything condenses in the physical universe. But the universe of life contains all these forces in it. Get up a radius of 1 million li, all wrapped in it. He is not afraid of revealing his whole cards now. As long as the harmony is successful, there will be few opponents in the Temple of Forbidding. Tianzang was stunned, and a sudden force appeared around him and started to drive him away, making his divine body art ineffective, and his power was constantly being compressed. He is not like the messenger of all things. The power of all things can be gestated in his body. In the universe of life, everything is equal except Jian Wushuang. Even if Tianzang is an emperor, he is just a life. Tianzang, who had been suppressed, wanted to receive Jian Wushuang's punch. It was too difficult. Boom. One punch directly pierced Tianzang's forearms, and then the huge shadow of the fist directly tore Tianzang's chest, leaking a big hole. Swallow. Jian Wushuang's thoughts fuse, and the power of life begins to dissipate, transforming into a huge swallowing power. A violent divine power began to drain from Tianzang. How is this possible? Tenzhou was completely taken aback. His divine body is losing. Is not the loss of power, but the loss of the basic divine body. Soon his divine body has dropped 100 times. At his level, 100 times the consumption of the divine body requires countless treasures. How distressed he is. The more distressed the other party, the more crazy Jian Wushuang. Swallowed 100 times the divine body, but the opponent's 100 times the divine body could be replaced by 50,000 times the divine body. Although it only absorbed 20%, that is, 20 times the divine body. But his own divine body can actually rise 500 times. Is now 500 times. Since the consummation of the Jidao, his devouring power has become devouring everything. Can swallow everything, completely transformed into the name of the black hole, and it has also greatly improved the power he has when he masters the black hole now. There was a big gap with Emperor Wanyan and the others, but it has now made up for it. He might actually be able to reach the realm of the black hole before he joined the road. In this way, once the harmony is successful, he is the 6th order peak emperor, and I am afraid that his combat power is directly equal to that of the absolute strong. Chapter 55:19. The aspect of the divine body, he can also solve it. The swallow of the origin, he doesn't care anymore. With a strong life force, why bother to care about the origin of all things? But the devouring of the divine body, that is genuine. Although his current worth is somewhat sufficient, after he Dao, it is sufficient to exceed 60,000 times. But those treasures were prepared for Hadao, and after Hadao, he had nothing left. Devouring this road is a good choice. Just swallowed 100 times the divine body of Tianzang, absorbed 20% of it, and he increased it 500 times. How many treasures did this leave him? Haha, Tenzhou, I really want to thank you for helping me improve my divine body for free. Jian Wushuang laughed. This goes down and the other grows. Tenzhou can't stop it soon. Jian Wushuang approached the opponent directly, and a hand knife cut off Tianzang's 2 arms. It's an eyesore. Grabbing those 2 arms, Jian Wushuang incarnates into the black hole, enveloping the sky with a terrifying aura, making the opponent immobile. Jian Wushuang. Tianzang's stern screams spread throughout Yuanyang Lake. But now that the 3 major palace masters, one retreats and the other is absent, Emperor Lu Hua has expressed his attitude to support him again. No one will support Fu Xiaotang anymore. The divine body is constantly being swallowed, and Tianzang is on the verge of collapse. This is a collapse of the state of mind. I am afraid that after this time, if you don't go to the valley on Funyang Island for a period of time, it is estimated that it will be difficult to alleviate. Swallowed 1,000 times. It was very difficult to swallow in the front, but the more relaxed it became as he went to the back, because the divine body was weakening. Once his divine body surpassed the opponent, he might be able to swallow all the divine body in one breath. 1,000 times the divine body, absorbed 20%, and finally transformed into himself, Jian Wushuang raised a full 2,000 times the divine body. At this stage, it is no longer possible to improve the divine body, but with the means of swallowing it, it can also increase his divine body. 52,000 times the divine body. He is still just a Daoist. Even if Ji Dao is very powerful, he can't carry this terrifying power under normal circumstances. But he has the power of life, and he doesn't feel at all. At this time, Tenzo was like a dead dog, with his head drooping. He has collected countless treasures over the years, only to accumulate the divine body to this level. As a result, in just a quarter of an hour, he lost 1,000 times. Completely collapsed. Triathlon. Now he finally admits it and starts to ask for help. The sword didn't use the palm of both hands to force it, and he lifted Tianzang's neck, incarnate in the black hole. His eyes were pitch black. Looked at the island where Fu Shoutang was located, and shouted angrily, "If you don't show up again, he will be disabled if he doesn't die." One Tianzang is far from enough. It would be best if he could beat it hard, or scrap the Iron 3, but unfortunately his current strength is not enough. But as long as you can force the opponent out, you have to be humiliated. He is alone in every action. If he doesn't do anything, he still dare not make a move first. Jian Wushuang didn't worry at all. Fu Shoutang. In a garden with wind. Tisan is still playing chess leisurely, and the other side is the deputy director of the law enforcement hall. Gong Miaoyi is making tea on the side. Tear Heaven Emperor Jun is not calm, pacing aside. There is the deputy head of the law enforcement hall. He didn't dare to say clearly, he could only transmit the voice. "Master, the main hall of Tianzang is almost dead." Tai's hand's complexion was a bit distorted, and there was no reply. He wants to stop him too. The deputy director of the law enforcement hall is not a vegetarian. If he dares to do it, I'm afraid the other party will do it too. The strength of Deputy Hall Master Zhong is not weaker than him. This is one of the two giants under Wu's command. His status is high, and his power is not weak. Hall Master Zhong, you have lost again. Tai San barely leaked a smile. He was far better than the opponent in chess, but the opponent obviously wanted to drag him. Deputy Hall Master Zhong, still looking bold, said calmly, "Come on, continue." The chessboard was restored to its original state again. "I see, that's it for today." Taizhan stood up and said, "Tai-san, I advise you to leave it alone, for the sake of the past. I am a personal reminder." Deputy Hall Master Zhong said, "Jian Wushuang has eaten flat in Lord Wu's. You go to provoke him now. Yes, give your eldest brother trouble. This is a sincere advice, but he doesn't know the inside story. He is just a fish released by Wu's. This is also the countermeasure that Jian Wushuang and Wu's discussed." Taizhan's brows twisted into a knot. He is now riding a tiger. Others have hit the door of the house. If he doesn't show up, how can he lead people? If you go, I'm afraid Jian Wushuang will make things difficult for him. It will be more troublesome. The origin of everything is important, and he doesn't want to go to this muddy water. The three palace masters all hid from seeing Jian Wushuang. He is the master of Fu Shoutang, but he dared not join in. The key Fu Shoutang also manages the ownership of the treasures on Yuanyang Lake. "I have to go, and you will go too," Tai-san said coldly. Deputy Hall Master Zhong smiled without a smile, and said indifferently, "It's up to you, but you'd better not do it. I came with a death order. Once you do it, everyone will be upset." In my heart, Deputy Hall Master Zhong is more inclined to these veterans. Although he is not a faction, he does not want to watch these veterans fight inwardly because of the inheritors. "I will still give you this face." Tai-san turned his head and said to Te Tian, "Take Miaoyi to the backyard. You can't come out without my order." "Yes." Tearing the sky respectfully said. Gong Miaoyi's complexion changed a little. She has always been a chess piece, surviving in the cracks. Originally thought it would be better to reach the heavens, but now he has fallen into the vortex again. At this time, she regrets a bit. She shouldn't be greedy for this place at the beginning, she should leave directly. Even if there is no Senate Palace, With her financial resources and skills, she should be able to find her father. Now, it fell into the palm of others. When entered the backyard after tearing the sky, she suddenly looked back at Jian Wushuang, who was like a demon in the sky. How much she longed for Jian Wushuang to really save her. But before the smile at the corner of his mouth was drawn, his heart sank. Although he had not been with Jian Wushuang for a long time, he knew that the other party's mood was very deep and he was not a character who could easily be moved. This time I came here, also under the name of her, and wrestled with those mighty ones. Slowly lowered his head, followed to tear the sky into the small courtyard. The moment the wooden door closed, a tear fell. In the air. Jian Wushuang puts the universe of life into his palm, with the universe in one hand and the sky hidden in the other. Just waiting for Tai-san to show up. What he didn't expect was that the other party was also a ruthless character. Jian Wushuang, can you come down for a comment? There was no anger in Tai-san's voice, but rather peaceful. Is this a peace talk? Jian Wushuang was a bit disdainful. Chapter 55:20. S' breath remained unchanged, and he fell directly into the courtyard. Tenzo, who was indistinguishable from the dead dog in his hand, remained on his side. There was no accident when he saw Deputy Hall Master Zhong. Everything was planned. Where is Gong Miaoyi? Jian Wushuang was not polite at all. He sat down where Gong Miaoyi was originally sitting, and went straight to the subject. Tai-san's expression remained unchanged, and he personally poured a cup of tea for Jian Wushuang, and said calmly, Jian Wushuang, a maid, there is no need to stir up the crowd like this. Ha ha. Jian Wushuang smirked, rubbing the handle of the chair, and then suddenly forcefully shattered the armrest. The sawdust flew out, and Triathlon easily resolved it. It is easy to resolve this, but Jian Wushuang dares to be so disrespectful in front of so many people. How to resolve it? If he bears it, what will those subordinates think? There are many people standing in the Chengfeng garden. Was originally intended to scare Jian Wushuang, but now it is counterproductive. The other deputy hall master of Fu Shou Tang directly stood up and shouted angrily, Jian Wushuang, don't go too far. Huh. Jian Wushuang snorted coldly, and said with disdain, how old are you? Do you have a voice here? You. The deputy hall master had received this kind of anger, and was about to rush at the moment, but was stopped by Tai-san. Tai-san took a deep breath, held back for a while, grasped the tea-making shelf in his hand, and said calmly, Gong Miaoyi's matter is indeed my negligence. Even if you don't come to this matter, I will bring a generous gift. I went to visit and I didn't expect to get to this point. Tell me about the requirements. If there are any shortcomings or requirements, I will definitely do it. Jian Wushuang held up the teacup and shook it for a while, then his eyes contained great anger, and he poured the tea in the cup directly on Tai-san, shouting angrily, You're always confused, let me make a request. He was a little angry. I want the origin of everything in the North Tower, can you give it? Don't think it's a hall master, so you can talk nonsense, otherwise I will ruin you once. Iron Trinity's violent aura directly evaporates all the tea on his face. Just about to burst, after hearing the origin of everything, he had to suppress the anger in his heart forcibly. He has already told his elder brother Changfeng Sword God about the things here, and even his elder brother said not to provoke Jian Wushuang. The other party is just about to blackmail some treasures, just take the money and send it away. But Jian Wushuang is too shameless now. This is not for the money at all, this is to humiliate him. Deputy Hall Master Zhong also saw it for a moment, and now he moved the position to the back. If it were him, I am afraid he would have done it a long time ago. He also admires the endurance of Tetsuo, which can be resisted. Isn't triathlon very prestigious before? Why are you exaggerating now? Jian Wushuang. Tai-san's face finally pulled down, staring at Jian Wushuang, wishing to eat him, gritted his teeth and said, If it hadn't been for my eldest brother to confess, you would have died 100 times. In the last sentence, he just talked about it. In the palace of the elders, who would dare to kill Jian Wushuang? I really want to kill Jian Wushuang, not to mention the real spirit, even Wuzhou will have to fight the other side. Then I have to tell you, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't even have a place to sit and talk to me. Without your eldest brother, you wouldn't even be able to sit still. The two got up at the same time, Their bodies were close together, and their faces were close to each other. Stared at each other's eyes. Today, let Gong Miaoyi go with me, or you can kneel down and slap 3 heads, and I will admit this marriage. Jian Wushuang straightened up, rubbed his eyebrows, and then said, or give me the origin of everything. Don't say you don't give you face, ask me to finish, you can figure it out. These 3 requirements, no matter which one is enough, will ruin the opponent. It is absolutely impossible to let Gong Miaoyi go with him. The invitations were all sent out, and the Taoist couple ran away with others, and this face was lost. As for the origin of all things, giving him 10 lives, he dare not call the shot. In the end, the only way is to kowtow. It's better to kill him directly. Deputy Hall Master Zhong couldn't stand it anymore. What a shame it was. For a woman, it's not worth it. You all get back. Tai San's face was shaking, and he waved for the people to disperse. The deputy director of Fu Shou-tang was a little moved. Let them leave, is this really ready to compromise? If this is the case, then they will be ashamed for the rest of their lives. Was trampled on the face by a Taoist monarch. Hallmaster, we. Before they could finish speaking, Taizhan looked like white wax, raised his head and glanced at the crowd, and shouted angrily, go away. Everyone didn't dare to stay longer, and at the same time their hearts were cold. The Hall Master of Fu Shou-tang, who is so prestigious in normal times, is now so mixed up that he has to kneel for a Taoist monarch. After everyone retreated, only Tai Shan, Jian Wushuang and Deputy Hall Master Zhong were left. There were a lot of people just now, but now there are no outsiders. I will personally accompany you, Tai San. The treasure in this mustard seed is worth 30,000 cubic meters of cosmic crystals. It is what I have earned in my life. Please accept it. Bong to Jian Wu Duanqian. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed. 30,000 square cosmic crystals, he really looks down on it now. He has hundreds of thousands of cosmic crystals himself, which is not less than 30,000, but the other party can have 30,000 cosmic crystals. I am afraid he will not benefit from it in private. This is the accumulation of millions of years. There will be more in the future. 30,000 square cosmic crystals are not a big loss, and more will be gained in the future. But Gong Miaoyi couldn't return Jian Wushuang. Others don't know. Tai San knows in his heart that Gong Miaoyi's physique is very special and suitable for double cultivation. As long as he finds Gong Miaoyi's father, Gong Miaoyi promises to do double repairs. Now I have mastered the information of Gong Miaoyi's father. After the wedding, we'll take Gong Miaoyi to find the other party's father. Once the double cultivation starts, his strength can go further. Hope is extremely high, and hope is still great. By then, the 2 brothers will be super strong, and in this palace of the elders, there will be no fear of anyone. That's why Gong Miaoyi would never let it out. The reason why he can hold it back is because of this. In case Jian Wushuang insists on Jian Wushuang, the other party will not help him if this matter is brought to Palace Master Lu Hua. He doesn't stand up to the point. If it weren't for his elder brother to raise him, he would almost get dizzy. Forbearance for a while, after he reaches the top, there is no need to be afraid of Jian Wushuang. Even if Jian Wushuang succeeds in the future, he will be an absolute powerhouse, and there is no need to look at Jian Wushuang's face. After all, this Senate Palace is the personal power of true spirit. The ultimate emperor is not without it, but which ultimate emperor is not related to them? At best it can give a little more face. No matter how big it is also potential. The ultimate emperor doesn't have much power, and he is practicing hard, so there is no time to take care of this. Chapter 55:21. This time, he didn't think of such a simple solution. He is not afraid that the other party will not do anything, he is afraid that the other party will endure it all the time. The purpose of coming here is to let outsiders know that the Yuan Laro Palace will be sentenced in the future, and that is also for a great reason. The Taoist couple was robbed, and the origin of everything was not given to him. Is also known as a teacher. Jian Wushuang's eyes gradually cooled down. Now let alone 30,000 universe crystals, even if it is 300,000, he will continue to make trouble. 30,000 universe crystals, are you sending a beggar? He directly threw away the mustard seeds in the opponent's hand. As soon as these words came out, Tai San couldn't bear it anymore, raised his head and stared at Jian Wushuang. His aura exploded at this moment, and he directly shook Jian Wushuang back. In order to create an illusion, Jian Wushuang directly retreated thousands of miles, crashing and destroying countless palaces and attics, swaying countless sword energy. From the outside world, Jian Wushuang would be seriously injured if he didn't die this time. Tai San was very surprised. He obviously just released some breath, and didn't even think about doing it. The Deputy Hall Master Zhong next to was close to him, and he could see Tai San's thoughts, so he didn't stop him. The Deputy Hall Master Zhong couldn't control that much, and Wu Zhuo gave orders to ensure Jian Wushuang's safety. Tai San looked a little ugly, and hurriedly explained, Vice Master Zhong, you have to testify to me, I really didn't do it. Tai San, you are deceiving too much, taking my Taoist companion, robbing me of good fortune, I am incompatible with you. Jian Wushuang yelled angrily. The voice spread far away, and many people onlookers heard it. Such a big thing has happened, Dong Sheng and Wen Yang are also here. Hearing Jian Wushuang's stern anger, he was a little moved and moved directly. Those in the periphery of Fu Shoutang wanted to stop, but now Dong Sheng already had the power of a Tier 6 top emperor, and it was not so easy to stop it. Now that such a big thing has happened, the emperor of Fu Shoutang didn't dare to actually do it. He just stopped symbolically and put the two in. After all, so many heirs from the outside world are watching. If you really want to move it, I'm afraid it will arouse public anger. Brother Wushuang, we are late. Dong Sheng and Wanyan entered the ruins, and saw Jian Wushuang in ragged clothes and blood on the corners of his mouth. Were all shocked, and then angrily looked at the hall master of Fu Shoutang in the distance. Jian Wushuang stood there with a haggard face. But my heart is full of joy. Tai San, today's humiliation, I will write it down. Jian Wushuang looked at each other unwillingly, and said coldly. The breath of hatred rose instantly. Go. Under the protection of Dong Sheng and Wen Yang, Jian Wushuang left Fu Shoutang. Only Tai San and the Deputy Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall, who were stunned in the same place, were left. Tai San, it seems that you really offended Jian Wushuang this time. After leaving a sentence, Deputy Hall Master Zhong also left directly. Then the strong from Fu Shoutang gathered around one after another. Hall Master, there is nothing to be afraid of. Jian Wushuang deceives people too much. You can't help but make a move. It's normal. Someone said with comfort. Tai San's face became even more gloomy, and the violent aura directly shook the person who had spoken back for several battles, and shouted angrily, Get out of here. Now he can't clean it after jumping into the Yellow River. Can't explain to his men that he didn't dare to shoot just to scare Jian Wushuang. I really want to say that, I won't be able to mix up in the future. But if you don't explain, even your own people will assume that he has beaten Jian Wushuang ruthlessly. When everyone retreated, their eyes changed a little. The image of triathlon has been preserved, and it is still as prestigious as before. But he offended Jian Wushuang, but he really sat down. Not only snatched Jian Wushuang's Taoist companion, Lian Jian Wushuang came to ask for the origin of everything, and was beaten up. This matter quickly spread throughout the Yuan Palace. Palace Master Lu Hua brought a generous gift in person, and went to find Jian Wushuang. He doesn't know anything about this, nor has he heard of any reason. The matter of the origin of all things has clearly been determined, and he will fully support Jian Wushuang, whether he can get another explanation, but he has already surfaced his position. Normally, Jian Wushuang would not go to Fu Shoutang to ask for it. The origin of everything is very important. Although it shows that all the treasures of the Yuan Laro Palace are under the jurisdiction of Fu Shoutang, the origin of everything is not even qualified to arrange it, let alone Fu Shoutang. According to his speculation, it is probably because of the Taoist couple. Although Jian Wushuang was deflated this time, Lu Hua was very happy in his heart. As a result, the relationship between Jian Wushuang and the faction of Changfeng Sword God became even more cold. They count you on a boat. At this time, Jian Wushuang was in the law enforcement hall. Emperor Lu Hua thought that Jian Wushuang was here to heal his injuries, so he came to comfort him. When I arrived there, I found that Jian Wushuang had already been in prison. It was Wu Zuo who was waiting for him outside the door. Brother Wu Zuo, are you confused? Take Jian Wushuang up at this time. Emperor Lu Hua was shocked. According to common sense, among the people in Jian Wushuang and Yuan Larogong, Wu Zuo had the best relationship, so why Wu Zuo even grabbed Jian Wushuang with him? Wu stood there on the left, with a fierce aura between his brows. Palace Master Lu Hua, I'm afraid you don't know something. Jian Wushuang's move in Fushutang seriously injured one of Fushutang's deputy hall masters. If it weren't for Tai San's action, he would have almost fallen. Wu Zuo said righteously. According to the law enforcement hall regulations, Jian Wushuang committed a felony and must be detained in jail to wait for the release. When these words came out, Lu Hua was completely stunned. Suddenly, he thought of something. At this time, Tai San walked out of the hall with a smile, and said, "Farewell, Palace Master Lu Hua." Emperor Lu Hua's expression became completely cold when he saw the visitor. Tai San, did you do this thing about? Lu Huadijun said coldly. If this is the case, he will have to be in the dark in the future. The last time Wu's were proposed to add another palace lord, he politely declined. Unexpectedly, Wu Zuo is now completely embarking on an evil road, and actually hooks up with the sword Changfeng. In this way, Changfeng and Wu Zuo will deal with the blue bull. Maybe they will abdicate at that time and give way to Wu Zuo. Triathlon lost the previous anger at this time, and said very happily, "The law enforcement hall handles affairs according to the regulations, and it does it very well. This has nothing to do with Fu Shou Tang." Okay. Emperor Lu Hua was so angry that he laughed and said with a big laugh, "It's very good. You do things, you do it really well." After leaving this sentence, he flicked his sleeve robe and turned around to leave. But after thinking of Jian Wushuang, he stopped and didn't turn his head. He just said in a cold voice, "Fighting in private and seriously hurting the elders. This matter is indeed very serious. I have to interrogate myself," then directly tore through the space and reached the bottom of Yuanyang Lake. There is a water prison there. Jian Wushuang was suppressed here at this time. After he left Fu Shou Tang, Wu Zuo personally captured him and sent him here not long after. Chapter 55-22. All this is planned. Although Tai San was furious, he was very cautious, and directly notified the eldest brother Changfeng Sword God of everything that had happened. After the Changfeng Sword God knew about it, he pondered for a long time, and speculated that Wu Zuo wanted to borrow Jian Wushuang's hand to seek the position of the palace lord, so he asked Tai San to take the initiative to find Wu Zuo and explain his intentions. As long as Jian Wushuang is pressed down, he will fully support Wu Zuo as the palace lord. And he will try his best to win over the blue bull, and then pull Emperor Lu Hua down in one fell swoop. This is still the three palace masters, and there is no change in their interests. The key is to offend Jian Wushuang so badly, he simply made the best move, and did nothing, pulling Wu Zuo together to suppress Jian Wushuang. But they didn't know that, in this way, they hit the arms of Jian Wushuang and Wu Zuo. Lu Hua hurriedly arrived here. After seeing Jian Wushuang who was suppressed in prison, he was fainted by cursing Wu Zuo secretly. Jian Wushuang is now the celebrity of the Senate Palace. It is impossible for the true spirit to not know. Once the harmony is successful, it is very likely that he will be the heir to the Temple of Chishan in the future. Offended such a character, just for the position of a palace lord. A little irrational. It can only be said that the pattern of Wu Zuo is getting smaller and smaller. After Lu Hua arrived, Wu Zuo followed. "Release people first, count as my guarantee," Emperor Lu Hua said. Wu Zuo hesitated, then lowered his voice and said, "It will be 10,000 years at the earliest. After Tai San's marriage, I will release Jian Wushuang." "You." Lu Huadijun's face sank, and he pointed to Wu Zuo and said, "You let me say what you are. This Jian Wushuang is the inheritor of the ultimate way, and now the ultimate way is probably complete. You am not afraid that he will find you after he gets along." Wu Zuo snorted coldly, staring at Lu Huadijun, and said angrily, "Looking forward and backward, when I chose the palace lord last time, you said the same thing. You disappointed me. I don't know whether this is to cooperate with the performance or accidentally tell the truth. The last time Palace Master Lu Hua did it was not authentic, and Wu's still has a bit of resentment. Well, in this case, you can walk on your single-plank bridge. Emperor Lu Hua did not want to mention the last time, because the last time was indeed his problem. If you were tougher, maybe Wu Zuo would really become the palace lord. What a pity. Changfeng's strength is too bad, once Wu is in the top position. S combination has already broken the balance of the current Senate palace, and he knew it from the bottom of his heart, so he didn't insist on it anymore. Now that the two have joined forces, they have reached a delicate balance with Qingniu and Changfeng. But it's about to break now, and Wu Zuo won't be standing by his side this time. On the contrary, he himself fell into the lower class, maybe because of the origin of everything, he would still be isolated. When the time comes, the position of the palace lord may be lost. It's too late to turn around now, so I can only bet on the sword Wushuang, and walk one way to the end. The more so, he has to get Jian Wushuang out now. Is the icing on the cake, it is better to send charcoal in the snow. Hall Master Wu Zuo, you can't let go of people, but I'm going to interrogate now, let me go in and see Jian Wushuang, this doesn't break the rules. Emperor Lu Hua restored his indifferent face. This time Wu Zuo did not refute, took out the token to open the prison, and put the Palace Master Lu Hua into the prison. After entering the prison, Palace Master Lu Hua directly arranged the enchantment to prevent Wu Zuo from eavesdropping outside. Only then took a step towards Jian Wushuang. Palace Master. Jian Wushuang got up with difficulty, his breath was very weak. He didn't hide his breath, but deliberately let Wu Zuo seriously injured him, and he kept pressing down without recovering. If needed, he can restore the peak at any time, which is the terrifying place of the power of life. Dijuan Lu Hua felt really, and he hurriedly stepped forward to support Jian Wushuang, and injected his own strength to help Jian Wushuang recover some strength. There are some things, you should come to me, Wu Zuo has been unreliable, but I forgot to remind you. Lu Huadijun looked very annoyed. Jian Wushuang was stunned for a moment, then leaked out of anger, gritted his teeth and said, I was careless this time, I didn't expect Wu Zuo to sway me. Don't worry, he can't touch you, I will find a way to get you out, as soon as 10,000 years. Lu Huadijun comforted. 10,000 years. Jian Wushuang had a trace of anxiety in his eyes, and said, Palace Master, can you get me out before Taisan's wedding? His expression was moved, his eyes were firm, and then he bowed directly, begging. Palace Master Lu Hua, I beg you, as long as you let me out, I will remember this great grace forever. Jian Wushuang, what are you doing? Emperor Lu Hua stretched out his hand to help Jian Wushuang get up, and said quickly, Don't worry, I will fish you out even if I don't take the position of the palace lord. Anyway, he won't be long enough, and has not afraid of being caught by Changfeng and Qingniu in his pigtails, and he will simply rob him of the law enforcement hall's prison at that time. Jian Wushuang got up when he heard the other party's promise, with joy in his eyes. After that, Lu Hua left some treasures to restore his origins, and then left. Jian Wushuang looked at the other party's back, and his heart was a little moved. Although he knew that the other party had a very clear purpose, but in order to help him and be able to give up everything, he really had to write down this kindness. After he boarded the Thatong, he would never treat him badly. After Emperor Lu Hua was out of prison, he didn't even glance at Wu Zuo, but he waved his sleeves and left with a cold snort. He was disappointed with Wu Zuo. The two have been friends for many years, and now they are dead. At the beginning, in ancient times, although Emperor Lu Hua was not a direct descendant of the Temple of Chishan, he came from a famous family and was a direct descendant of the Lord of the Universe. Wandering through the long river of time and space, getting to know Wu Zuo, the two have also wandered together several times is a deadly friendship. It'll be one step faster this time. Wu Zuo muttered to himself, and after a glance at Jian Wushuang in prison, he turned and left directly. News of his suppression spread quickly. Even the inheritors on the Tomb Mountain know a lot. Hua Qing, who was far away in the secret world, also got the news for the first time. Brother Wushuang, I can't help you this time. Hui Qing closed her eyes slightly, and she was in an extremely evil pool of water. In the dark, Long Yi looked at everything in a daze, reporting the situation here to the true spirit one by one. In the prison, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged in the corner, his breath remained unchanged. is just in the Sea of Origin. His origin clone is practicing the pinnacle of his creation. Dao Jun is able to create the pinnacle of unique knowledge, and he is also considered the first class. 10,000 tribulations. The first sword is still a bit rough. The sword is dead, but the power is alive. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Chapter 55-23. It was too difficult to integrate the power of life, so he could only turn to using jerkiness to transform the power of life into sword aura. Only in this way can it exert great combat power. Whether it is the extremely strong power of all things, or the power of reincarnation, it is very difficult to integrate into one's own way. The course of life is the heavens and tribulations. Jian Wushuang floated on the Sea of Origin, holding the Jueyun sword upside down. The sword of 10,000 tribulations can also be the space of 10,000 tribulations, or the universe of 10,000 tribulations. It is the same as everything else, but in a different direction. This first tribulation is in Sword Dao. Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his hand, Jueyun Jian came out, and the world was surging. This sword can kill the sixth-order emperor. The 8,000 tribulations of the pinnacle's unique learning was created by him throughout his life, and it is related to his journey along the way. The catastrophe he has gone through is more than 10,000 catastrophes. When he was weak, the first kalpa before him was kendo. Now that he has mastered his mastery in a sword, he can be regarded as an account of kendo and an account of himself. Although Ji Dao is strong, after all, he has been following him for a short time, and he doesn't have too many special feelings. Kendo is different. From a weak moment, to be with him, as if he was born with him. Otherwise, he would not always be distracted to explore kendo. After having a more powerful ultimate path, why bother to develop an ultimate path? This is not to find yourself uncomfortable. When you are in harmony, you just need to abandon kendo. But if you give it up, will he be willing? Jian Wushuang asked himself. Wan Dao Sword Sovereign. Among the 10,000 ways he mastered, he only loves kendo. He wants to carry forward kendo and raise it to an untouchable height. Among the 10,000 Daos, the kendo is promoted to the strongest and most perfect posture. And the killing of kendo suits him very well. Myriad Tribulations Sword. Jian Wushuang's eyes were hot, and he looked at this sword and exclaimed excitedly, finally succeeded. Although the ultimate kendo has not yet stepped into the 9-level realm, the sword created today can already kill the 6th-order emperor. Because of the transformed life force, this sword contains too many things. A sword is not only as simple as the power of killing, but also contains the power of thought, mind, swallowing, all things and even life. Cut it out with one sword, and you can die. Let it die. Jian Wushuang murmured. Then began to practice. He has many cosmic crystals, and he has been constantly exploring the realm of space by leaps and bounds. The distance to the black hole realm is also fast. This time, his enemies are many. It was not Taisan alone, but the entire Senate Palace. Fortunately, among the 3 palace lords, the strongest one is in retreat. The Palace Lord Changfeng is not there, and the Palace Lord Lu Hua fully supports him. Wu Zuo is the manipulator of the plan again. Under the circumstance that there is no way out, only the peak emperors are left. Although Wu Zuo would support him in secret, everything might be impossible. He has to improve his strength to the strongest state as much as possible. Otherwise, there is a risk of exposure. Their plan is in progress, and the plan of the gods is also being laid out. The supreme powerhouse hidden in the dark, some powerhouses in the veteran palace secretly manipulated. A blast of darkness is covering the entire palace of the elders. The dark part of the Senate Palace. Shadow 3, 16, and 17 are already in place. You can do it at any time. Don't be in a hurry, wait and see. This time, we will all be exposed. Don't be in a hurry. Jian Wushuang is in prison, and there are 14 in the law enforcement hall. There is nothing wrong with it. Hold on. This Shadow 3 is the top 3 figure in the Shadow sect, with the most powerful combat power. Time flies like a white horse. For thousands of years, a civilization was born in the mundane world, and the change of several dynasties, but for practitioners, it was just a moment or a breath. On this day, The island where Fu Shou Tang was located was very lively, and all the palaces turned red. The place originally destroyed by Jian Wushuang has long been restored to its original state. Not to mention, today is the wedding of Fu Shou Tang's chief Tai San, and the entire island has been renovated. At 10 in the morning, everyone on the island is busy. For this big wedding, Tai San even got a group of Taoists from the outside world to do it specially, because the island has a shortage of manpower and must be properly arranged. The characters who came this time are all important, and they are all high-powered in the Senate Palace. Even the temple of the enemy will have the strong come. In the main hall of Fushutang, countless cases have been put in place at this time, and some relatively weak emperors have arrived early, and they have given enough face to Tai San. Outside the main hall, Tai San personally greeted every visitor, whether it was a 4th-order emperor or a 6th-order emperor. They talked with each other enthusiastically. Even outside the island, a number of 6th-order emperors were arranged to greet them from a distance. It's just that the guests who came this time were mostly indigenous emperors and some veterans from the 4 secret realms. As for the inheritors, very few came. Some inheritors who were with the Yuan Laro Palace had arrived, such as the Emperor Tear Heaven. Master. Tearing the Sky respectfully salutes. Apprentice, you are here to receive distinguished guests on my behalf, and I will go to the apse to have a look. Tai San smiled often and said to this disciple that he didn't. Not only in practice, but also in financial resources. The situation of Tearing the Sky is very similar to him. They are all aptly qualified, but with good luck. And Tearing the Sky has not let him down. Every time it is steadily improving. He is now the 5th-order Peak Emperor, and he has also passed through the 48 floors at the North Tower. It hasn't been long before breaking through the 5th-order Emperor, and he has this strength, and he is also hopeful in the future. Tai San put down what he was holding and turned and entered the apse. The bright red silk placed in the hall is very festive. Miaoi. Tai San walked around, his face full of smiles. Gong Miaoi smiled and said, "Are the arrangements made outside?" "Everything is ready, you are the only one left." After today, Gong Miaoi raised his head and looked at Tai San, expecting, "Is my father really in the mine?" Tai San nodded and said, "I didn't dare to tell my eldest brother about this matter www. Mtl Novel. But I asked people around him to help me investigate. That Genshio is very close to your father. Then, when do we go?" Gong Miaoi said happily. "After today, you can go anytime." Then Tai San hesitated, "It's just." Gong Miaoi looked solemnly, and said solemnly, "As long as I find my father, the little girl will ask her husband in this life." "Okay, I won't lose you." Triathlon was very excited. At the beginning, he was afraid that Gong Miaoi was unwilling. After all, he was a 5th-order Peak Emperor, who generally had arrogance, and she was also a woman with a very special physique. Now he thinks too much. As long as he gets Gong Miaoi, he will be Mahayana and enter the peak, so he won't treat the opponent badly. At that time, he can also help Gong Miaoi quickly break the mirror and enter the 6th-order Emperor. Chapter 55-24. Think about it and listen to it beautifully. Both husband and wife are 6th-order emperors, which can be regarded as a good story in the Palace of the Elders. And Gong Miaoi's potential is good. He can even arrange Gong Miaoi to go to the Tomb Mountain. It's not difficult to get a quota. All is well in the future, but there are also changes. At this time, outside the prison of the Law Enforcement Hall, 2 groups of people were already in place. One group was arranged by the confidant of Palace Master Lu Hua, and the other group was the shadow sect powerhouse lurking in the Palace of the Elders. Among the group of people that Emperor Lu Hua looked for, there were 3 Tier 6 Peak Emperors, who were enough to break the restriction here, and there were more than 10 Tier 6 Emperors who were strong enough to hold the Law Enforcement Hall. At this time, Wu Zuo was not here at all, but went to Fu Shou Tang. Over the years, he and Tai San have been very close, so naturally they want to join in. Now in the Law Enforcement Hall, only Deputy Hall Master Zhong and 3 6th-order emperors are sitting in town. Most of the strong in the Law Enforcement Hall are located in the north, but in the Senate Palace, there are only a few. The strong in the Palace of the Elders are like clouds, and no one dares to make a mistake here. Outside the prison, there are no guards, because there are restrictions, and there is no fear of someone daring to rob the prison. Even if you dare to come, once the prohibition is attacked, the strong of the law enforcement hall can arrive at the first time. Both groups are very patient and seem to be waiting for an order. Do it. Do it. Emperor Lu Hua checked the time and gave the order directly. At the same time, the supremely strong man hiding in the dark also gave the order. The two groups of people appeared at the same time in different positions, but the purpose was the same. Robbery. Boom. 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 A wave of violent forces suddenly attacked the restraint outside the prison. Jian Wushuang, who was deep in the prison, suddenly opened his eyes. Although he doesn't know the situation of the outside world, someone is coming to attack. I am afraid that today is when he goes out, and it is also the most important part of the plan. Inside the law enforcement hall. With the arrival of this day, Deputy Hall Master Zhong was not surprised. He had expected that he would come to rescue Jian Wushuang, so he was also prepared. An order came out, several sixth-order emperors, together with hundreds of fifth-order peak emperors. Follow me to catch the rebellion. The rugged Deputy Hall Master Zhong took the lead with a mountain-opening battle axe, leading hundreds of emperors and powerful men, directly tore the space to the outside of the prison. At this time, outside the prison, both parties were a little surprised. The intelligence is wrong. Who is the other party? Does the palace master have other arrangements? However, the purpose is the same, and the two sides have not had any fights, and both are doing their best to break the prohibition. But at this time, the hundreds of people brought by Deputy Hall Master Zhong had already arrived. The majestic Faxiang broke out directly, and the strength of Deputy Hall Master Zhong was comparable to that of the most powerful. His appearance still shocked many people. The mysterious person in the dark must not act rashly. He can only command the crowd and stop the strong man in the law enforcement hall first. Deputy Hall Master Zhong's image was majestic for 1,000,000 li, and he slowly raised his hand to open it with a single stroke, directly letting the lake retreat, hitting the two groups of strong men who attacked the prohibition. Let me see, who is so courageous? Boom. The violent breath directly shook back several sixth-order emperors. The means of hiding their breath also broke. Wang Khan, you are so brave, dare to rob prison. Deputy Hall Master Zhong recognized the sixth-order peak emperor who took the lead at a glance. That was the first titan under the master of Palace Master Lu Hua. The sixth-order peak combat power is only a trace of him. Seeing that the other party recognized him, Wang Khan was not hiding it, so he rushed over immediately. Continue to attack the restraint, I will stop him. Deputy Hall Master Zhong sneered, it's up to you. Haha, although I can't beat you head-on, there are still ways to stop you. Wang Khan was very confident. Wang Khan was able to reach the 60th floor in the North Tower, and he had already reached the 6th order consummate combat power. As for Deputy Hall Master Zhong, he reached the 61st floor. The difference between the two is just one level. Although it will be suppressed in strength, it will not be defeated in an instant. It is easy to stop the time of Deputy Hall Master Zhong. It takes 10 breaths to break the prohibition. Two groups of people from the outside fought hard. Jian Wushuang in prison was also tense. As long as the restriction is opened, he will tear the space and escape directly. Go straight to Fu Shoutang. Wu Zhuo was already waiting there. Moreover, most of the people in the law enforcement hall were transferred to the northern border. Only the deputy head Zhong could not stop him. At that time, even if some people were killed, the inheritors and the emperors of the 4 secret realms would not stop him. Even the strong from the Senate Palace, few people dared to stop him. As soon as the source of destruction comes out, the entire Fusho Hall will probably fall. When the time comes, the strong will disperse, the most chaotic. You can take Gong Miaoyi directly to the central hall, take the teleportation array, and go directly to the north. It can only be teleported to the north, from the Palace of the Old, and only after going to the north can it go to other big states. Boom. The fighting outside is very jiaweizhou. The two groups of robbed prisoners had to separate the manpower to attack the restraint, while at the same time they had to stop the people from the law enforcement hall. Li Mi Kanji, It turned out to be you. Deputy Hall Master Zhong split the space with an axe, letting the supremely strong man behind him appear. Deputy Hall Master Zhong was very surprised. Li Mi Kanji is a rare 6th-order peak powerhouse in the Northern Realm. He is as famous as the Shangqing ancestors and others, but he did not expect to hide his strength all the time, and he was actually the ultimate powerhouse. And he dared to plot against such a big thing as robbing prison. There must be other secrets behind this. Wang Khan and others robbed the jail because Emperor Lu Hua, and the aboriginal emperors of the Northern Territory like Li Miu, had nothing to do with Jian Wushuang, so how could they have the courage to rob the prison? Associate Hall Master Zhong, you shouldn't have discovered me. Li Mi Kanji's eyes shrunk and were already exposed. Now he can't take care of that much. If Jian Wushuang is not taken out, they will all be finished. The terrifying breath of extreme peaks descended instantly, killed in the direction of Deputy Hall Master Zhong. As soon as the peak came out, the news here spread directly. Only when that breath spread thousands of miles away, it suddenly stopped, and a more terrifying breath followed. There was also a subtle magic sound mixed in that breath. Magic sound God General. Everyone was shocked. According to common sense, in the affairs of the Yuan Laro Palace, the magic sound can't interfere with these ancient existences. But there was a fight of the highest level, and it was also related to Jian Wushuang, and the magic sound would also have to take action. Directly suppress the matter in this place. And Li Mi Kanji, who had just been exposed, was directly seriously injured. At the same time, the prohibition began to break in the wave of magic sound. Only a trace of cracks appeared. Jian Wushuang seized the opportunity instantly, and before the cracks healed, he directly tore through the gaps in the surrounding space that was not forbidden, and escaped. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-25. As Jian Wushuang went out, Mo Yin also retreated far away. Deputy Hall Master Zhong frowned. Everyone was helping Jian Wushuang, but he was the only one to stop him. Palace Master Zhong, we will see you tomorrow. Wang Khan and others don't care about so many. After the mission is completed, they go directly to the central hall, where there is Qiu Huang's death. They can directly escape. Going to the north to avoid the storm and robbing prisoners is not big or small. If Palace Master Lu Hua couldn't stand it, they could only keep fleeing. However, Lu Hua also promised them that there would definitely be life-threatening danger. He must have been carrying some notoriety, and he would be compensated when he returned to the Senate Palace in the future. Wang Khan and the others calmly retreated. The Deputy Hall Master Zhong did not chase, but stared at the supremely strong man. Li Mi Porridge, you are really confused. Wang Khan and the others have Lu Hua's support. Who are your supporters? Vice Paul Master Zhong had killing intent in his eyes. It's okay to let Wang Khan go, with Lu Hua in front of him, but who supported Li Mi Kanji? This is hard to say, so these people must never be let go. At this time Jian Wushuang had already escaped. Li Miju and the others came to jail to take Jian Wushuang away, but now Jian Wushuang hasn't caught him, and was stopped by people from the law enforcement hall. The blow by Maureen God just now, although his subordinates were merciless and did not want to kill, but it also caused Li Mi Kanji to be seriously injured. When confronted by Deputy Hall Master Zhong again, it was difficult to leave. First rush out, once the other strong come, we will be done. Li Mi Porridge's complexion was ashen. This time, they were careless about the plan. It was not counted that there would be people who would rescue Jian Wushuang. They had known it earlier, and they would have guarded outside. Boom. Jian Wushuang in the distance looked back, and found nothing wrong. I just feel that this movement is a little too big. But fortunately, some of the strong people in Fushutang have been distracted, and he just took the opportunity to grab his relatives. A terrifying atmosphere broke out again, and a great battle directly swept all the waters within hundreds of millions of miles nearby. After Jian Wushuang flew out with difficulty, he went all out to go to Fushutang. Fushutang. Although it is far from the law enforcement hall, I can feel the clearly visible aura of terror. That direction is the law enforcement hall, where Jian Wushuang is still suppressed. This made many people frown. At this time the guests were already seated, and many people wanted to go out and take a look, but they were stopped by Wu Zue. Continue drinking, continue dancing. Wu Zue calmly picked up the wine glass and said coldly, "Do you guys believe in the strength of my law enforcement hall?" Hum. A breath radiated from him and directly suppressed everyone present. Those who wanted to go out to see what was going on also stopped. Although some people are equal to Wu Zue, they are all hall masters. But the strength is much worse. Wu Zue is the pinnacle of the most powerful. Even the 3 major palace masters can break their wrists. Moreover, he is the only living disciple of Qishan. Not only is his power terrifying, but he also has the secret method that the Qishan originally bestowed. It is the secret method created by the Qishan. Once activated, no one in the Palace of the Elders
At the
except
same time,
the magic sound
he also
will be able to
transmitted
do
to Wu
so.
Zue and said
Stop,
angrily,
Wu Zue.
"Brother Wu Zue,
After stopping
didn't
the place,
you say that he will
Wu
be
Zue
released
leaped
after
a sneer.
today?"
The
Tai
Iron
San
San
in
is
the
now
Alps
increasingly
found that something was
suspicious
wrong,
that Wu Zue
but now
is
he
playing
is
tricks
riding a
on him.
tiger with difficulty.
Originally discussed,
Will it be in
Jian
time?
Wushuang will be
You
released
can't delay.
after today.
Hallmaster,
At that time,
I have ordered
he will
people
leave
to
the old
arrange
man
10
with Gong
sixth order
Miaoyi
emperors
and go to the
powerful
north,
people
so he
around
doesn't have to
Fusho
worry
Hall.
about
Even
Jian
if Jian
Wushuang's
Wushuang
trouble.
dares to come,
He will surely let
Wu
him
Zue
come
just
back and
spoken
forth.
differently.
Tai
Don't
San's
worry,
eyelids
what
throbbed,
storms can
still
he upset
feeling a
as a
little
daoist?
unstable, and he
Besides,
said, "He
let
is now a
Brother
fugitive.
Chen sit
You
in
can
the
take
portal
action
himself,
against him,
and then
with my
mobilize
guarantee.
some native
It's
emperors
okay."
from the 4
With this
secret realms.
sentence, it was
As long
considered
as I can
that Tai
pass
San's
safely
mood
today,
was
I
stabilized.
will take out
The origin
5,000
of
square
destruction
universe
in Jian
crystals.
Wushuang's
Minute.
body began to be
He
released,
also had his
but
blood
it fell into
capital.
the hall
His
in
own
an
manpower
instant.
was not enough,
And even the native emperors were sent out.
Yes.
Chapter
After
55
settled
26.
down, Tai San
Nothing
turned
to
and
do with
entered
you.
the boudoir
You will
in the
finally
Alps.
go away.
Miaoyi,
Jian
the time is
Wushuang
up.
glanced at the
Come with me
emperors
into
sitting
the
on
hall.
both sides of the
Tai
hall
San said
and said,
softly,
"Otherwise,
Gong
don't
Miaoyi
blame
was
me for
dressed
hurting
in a
you by
red
mistake."
attire.
As
On this
soon as
day,
the source
she
of
was
that
not
horrible
covering her
destruction
face,
came
but
out,
showing her
everyone was
gracefully.
in chaos.
The triathlon
Before
she
he
saw
finished
was shocked.
speaking,
They
although
left
it
one
wasn't
after
the
another.
first time I saw
It's
each
okay
other,
to watch
the
the
feeling
show,
that I was
but
about
it's
to
not
have
good
each
to
other,
hurt yourself
that
by
kind
mistake.
of control instantly
Tai San's
burst.
expression
The
changed.
face that can make the
He
sixth
didn't
order
expect
peak emperor
Jian
so
Wushuang
moved to
can be
get the
said to
origin
be
of the
peerless.
universe and
Gong
destroy the
Miaoyi's
origin.
face was cold,
If he blew
and he
himself
slowly
up in
stepped
this
forward
hall,
to hold
he would
Tai
have to
San's
be
arm,
seriously
and the
injured.
two of them directly
Jian
tore the
Wushuang,
space and
you
reached
are
the
now a
hall in an
prisoner,
instant.
and you can act
The appearance of the
unscrupulously
two
on you.
instantly broke
You'd better
the
know and
previously
get out of
embarrassing
here.
scene.
They'll assume
Where
it never
do Tai
happened.
San and Gong
Tai San
Miaoyi stand
stretched
on
out
the
his
main
hand
seat
and said very
today?
righteous.
Tai Mao is
This is
getting
because
married.
that source of
Thank you
destruction
for
is
coming
too
to join
terrifying.
us.
And it
If
is
you
really
need it in the
necessary to
future,
fight.
please
I am
speak
afraid
up.
that neither
After
he nor Jian
speaking,
Wushuang
the
will
two
end
bowed
well.
their hands.
The other party
Emperor
is an
Ter Heaven
inheritor,
was standing
with true
beside him at
spirits
this
for the
time,
bottom,
and he was
will
also
not fall
very
at all.
excited.
He was different,
Speaking of it,
really
Gong
fighting.
Miaoyi
If
was
Jian
the one he
Wushuang
introduced
killed
to
him,
his master.
Jinling would not
If the two
obliterate
of them
Jian
can form a
Wushuang because of a
taoist
veteran.
couple,
He
on
has
the
to remember
contrary,
a lot.
if he killed
But
Jian
when the two of
Wushuang,
them just
he
got
would
up and were
probably
about to
arouse the
raise their
anger
wine
of the true
glasses to
spirit.
toast everyone,
Gong
a
Miaoyi's
terrifying
face
breath
was a little
instantly fell.
stalemate next to her.
Triathlon.
For a while,
Boom.
I didn't
Jian
know whether
Wushuang
Jian
ascends
Wushuang
to the
was
top
true
of the
or
sky
not,
like a
and there was a
colossus,
touch of emotion
descending
in
from
my
the
heart.
sky,
At this
directly
moment,
smashing the dome
tearing the
above the
sky
main hall
just
to
wanted
pieces.
to leave here.
At this
but
time,
there was a breath
the
that
sky
kept him
outside
back,
became a
making
little
him
gloomy.
unable to move.
Tai San's
The owner
expression
of this
moved,
breath is
knowing that he
naturally
shouldn't
Wu
mess up
Zue.
his position
Jian
at this
Wushuang
time, and
has
hurriedly
clearly
shouted
shouted that he must
"Come
be
on,
torn to death.
drive him out of me."
The beast
Huh.
soldier must
Jian
be
Wushuang
snatched over.
sneered.
This
Stop
is a
screaming.
great opportunity.
I've already dealt with those
Jian
hillbillies
Wushuang's
outside.
eyes revealed a
How is
huge
this
killing
possible?
intent.
Tai
San's
San's
expression
dog,
sank.
take it to death.
If the aboriginal
whole
monarch's
body's thought
outside
power
can't
broke
stop
out
them,
in an instant,
they can still
and
make
the straight
sense.
and straight source of
Qiu
destruction
Qian
was
was
his
his elder
elder
brother's
brother's right-hand man,
Of course,
who was even
Tai
stronger
San
than
on
him.
the main hall
How
would
could he
not
be
wait to
defeated
die,
by Jian
pulling Gong
Wushuang?
Miaoyi to
He
flee.
didn't know that the
At this
people he
time,
arranged
it is not the
outside
time
had long
to
been
fight
taken
hard.
care of by
Escape.
Emperor Lu Hua himself.
Tai San had only
They are
one
now
thought.
suppressed.
It was a bit
All this is
miserable
done
to
quietly.
tear the sky.
After all,
unable to move
he is
at
the
all,
absolute
was suppressed to
strongest.
death.
How
How
could it be
desperately
discovered
shouted by
"Help
others?
me"? At
You
this
can't
time,
you?
the crisis
Calm
was
Jian
full,
Wushuang,
and Tai
today
San
is a
didn't
big
care
wedding.
about the life
I
and death
advise
of the
you to
sky
stop
at all.
making trouble.
Just wanted to
Tai
leave here
San's
quickly.
breath changed,
Everyone
and he was
must
ready to
die.
do it at any
As
time.
soon as Jian
This
Wushuang's
time he
voice
would not
fell,
bear it
Candle
anymore.
Dragon wings instantly wrapped his body, and Wu Wu Zhuo was standing in front of him at this time. Don't resist, I will do it after a breath. After Wu Zhuo transmitted the sound, a powerful force wrapped Jian Wushuang. Without his protection, Jian Wushuang, who was destroying the core of the source, would also fall. Boom! The source of destruction burst completely, the entire Fushutang was razed to the ground in an instant, and then a surge of weather began to condense into a point. That is a black hole. The origin of this destruction directly condensed the continent where Fu Shou-tang was located into a black hole, and the huge swallowing power swallowed all the continent where Fu Shou-tang was located. It was useless for Tai San to struggle in it, and finally abandoned Gong Miaoyi and wanted to escape alone, but Jian Wushuang had already rushed over. Want to go? Jian Wushuang dived, first grabbed Gong Miaoyi, and then took Gong Miaoyi's hand and stopped in front of Tai San. Looking down at the other side, a high-ranking hall master of Fu Shou-tang now looks like a mourning dog. Jian Wushuang, I want you to die. Tai San was completely angry and desperately rushed towards Jian Wushuang. Although he had been seriously injured, Triathlon tried his best when he came up, and even burned his original source to restore his strength to the top level. God-destroying palm. Tai San's pinnacle knowledge is a set of infinite destructive skills. With a palm shot, the God Destruction technique was instantly activated, and the thought power around Jian Wushuang began to weaken, and he could no longer feel the position of the opponent. Once the power of mind disappears, the practitioner is like a blind man. Wu Zuo was in the core of the black hole in the distance, and he was still carrying the Emperor of Tear Heaven in his hand. At this time, the heart and soul were torn apart. Master Wu Zuo, help me. Save you. Wu Zuo sneered, and after forcibly taking the beast from the opponent, he threw the tearing sky into the vortex of the black hole. With tearing resentment on his face, he roared, "No! He is not reconciled." Along the way, it was not easy for him than anyone else. In order to keep the beasts, he not only provoked Jian Wushuang in Primordial Star. When he arrived at the Tomb Mountain, he was bullied by other inheritors, and now he finally climbed to this position step by step. How could he be so willing to fall? But the huge gravitational force of the black hole behind him extinguished his mind, and his body turned into countless particles, which were deposited into the deposit. But on the surface of the black hole, there was still the last grim expression of tearing the sky imprinted. It was a cloud of mist. After solving the tearing sky, Wu Zuo took a step and came to the core of the black hole. Jian Wushuang, do you want me to help? Now that Jian Wushuang has no thought power, he can only hear the sound. At this time, he also has a fierce energy, and he shouted, I can solve it. Originally according to the plan, Wu Zuo solved Tai San and Jian Wushuang solved the tearing sky. Now it's the other way around. The strongest Wu Zuo went to kill the weakest tearing sky, and Jian Wushuang chose to chew on the hardest bone. I found you. A smile leaked from the corner of Jian Wushuang's mouth. Without the power of thought, he still has the power of life. As long as it contains the breath of life, he can feel it. The huge palm print hit. Jian Wushuang slowly pulled out the Jueyun sword that was behind him. At this moment, his temples were flying, his robe dancing with gravity, his eyes closed, but he drew out the Jueyun sword, ready to use his strongest sword. Gong Miaoyi, who stood behind Jian Wushuang, looked at Jian Wushuang, as if he had seen his father from the other side. Because at the beginning, her mother told him that his father likes to carry a long sword most. For this reason, the two came together. But when he thought of his father, he was a little moved. Tai Sanjin is going to fall. What will his father do, and who will he rely on to find his father? Rely on Jian Wushuang? Although Jian Wushuang's face is for her now, she can't guarantee that the other party will help her. What if Jian Wushuang uses her again, and then throws it aside and ignores it? At that time, Ukanshu. Because she had fallen to the Iron Three, the palace master Changfeng would not spare her either. Hard work. Gong Miaoyi's eyes were a little rosy, but she couldn't make any choice. She had to be at the mercy of others. But at this moment, Jian was Jueyun's sword in both hands pointed at the giant palm, and at the same time he looked back at Gong Miaoyi, and said tenderly, Don't worry, I can help you with our father's affairs. As soon as this shameless remark came out, Jian Wushuang shot it instantly. Millions of tribulation. Jueyun's sword made a buzzing sound, which was the transformation of life force. The monstrous sword intent descended on the world, and a sword came out to resonate in the entire space. Just the breath of Jian Wushuang's body instantly dissipated the god-destroying technique, and then shouted angrily, Death. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-27. As soon as this sword came out, the entire space was instantly flattened, and all matter was dying, that was dying from the depths of life. Anyone who touches it will die. Tai-san looked at the sword, in a daze, and said, "How could this be? How can he be so strong?" But now he didn't give him time to shock at all, so he could only forcefully stop him. Void. A huge Dharma image rose up, and Tai-san also began to kill his life. As soon as he pointed it out, he gathered a little bit, and no matter what, he would break the sword. The power contained in the sword made him tremble. If he is not cautious, he will really fall into Jian Wushuang's hands today. Broken. The huge finger shadow and Jueyun's sword collided with each other. This bet on Xingshen's finger, but just touched the Jueyun sword, it began to break. Desperate. At the moment it was extinguished, Tai-san's face began to be distorted, not only the physical body, but also the divine body and origin lost their original shape, continuously distorted, and finally dissipated. Tai-san completely turned to ashes and has fallen. Jian Wushuang slowly opened his eyes, and the black hole was already shrinking. It originally covered the entire continent, but now that the continent has disappeared, the black hole has become very small. He really killed a sixth-order peak emperor. Although most of the reasons were because of the 10% destruction and Wu's was secret help, the opponent was actually dead in his hands. After picking up the other party's mustard seeds, he took Gong Miaoi and left the black hole. The black hole also completely turned into a point in the next moment, and then began to be restored by the space, and everything was restored to peace. In the air, there was still a mustard seed floating at this time, which was tearing the sky. Wu's didn't personally give him the beast magic weapon, because the plan was very important, and he couldn't tell anyone, even Gong Miaoi couldn't say it. Jian Wushuang was a little excited about this and put it away directly. As for Wu's, he is still trapped in a black hole. An extremely secret transmission sounded in Jian Wushuang's mind. The time of 3 breaths is an order. After 3 breaths, I will break through the black hole and go out. At that time, you must take my blow. After being seriously injured, go directly into the teleportation formation and leave, and everything will proceed according to the planned route. The voice came from Wu's, and Jian Wushuang did not answer, pulling Gong Miaoi towards the central hall. The monarchs who were onlookers, or the powerhouses of the Elder Palace, looked at him, and no one tried to stop him. Because Triathlon is dead. With such a big movement, even the Taoist Qing Niu who was in retreat was awakened, but he did not appear. Dijuan Lu Hua frowned, and he was already suspicious of what he was doing now. Jian Wushuang was robbed by him, and now he has killed Tai-san and is about to flee. I am afraid that I will be held accountable in the future. Those inheritors shouted in applause, not only did not stop them, but even gave way to Jian Wushuang. On the Maureen Mountain, the Maureen god will stand side by side with Yun Zhongjuan, staring at all this. How to say? Maureen Shen turned his head to look at Yun Zhongjuan, and said in doubt, "What are you talking about?" Just like that, let him run away? Yun Zhongjuan pointed to Jian Wushuang. If not, the Senate Palace has nothing to do with the two of them, that is, because of the true spirit, it came here. They will not take care of internal struggles unless they are involved in the competition. And he is the kind of super strong with unclean details. That Zhu Jian who was dragged by Deputy Hall Master Zhong was because the details were not clear, the magic sound god general would do it. Of course, a large part of the reason was to rescue Jian Wushuang. If he really wants to stop Jian Wushuang, he will have to go back then. After all, releasing Jian Wushuang has something to do with the magic sound general. Zhang Yunzhong smashed his mouth and said leisurely, "Forget it, it's just like watching a good show, this Jian Wushuang's character. I have misunderstood, this kind of thing can be done, there is mine back then demeanor." As he said, his figure disappeared. The magic sound general was a little disdainful. At the beginning, Yun Zhongjuan didn't have the courage to pursue Emperor Jueyun with a cheeky face. He was severely injured by the slap of the great Jueyun, and the divine body was cracked. Countless people stared at Jian Wushuang. It's time for 3 breaths. A huge centipede, tearing through the world, rushed out of the name of the black hole. Wu's was dressed in a pale yellow robe, standing on top of the centipede's head. At this moment, he was full of anger, a pair of purple eyes exuded the power of thunder, and a thunder of 10,000 battles burst out and went straight to Jian Wushuang. The crowd who had originally watched backed away again. But Wu's were shot. Even if it is affected, I am afraid it will fall. It's over. Jian Wushuang is really offending Wu's were. Many people retreated quickly. The purple thunder came behind Jian Wushuang in an instant. Jian Wushuang was also prepared long ago, and he was really going to be recruited. He had to fall. This is also a bitter trick. Of course, it won't really go hard. He took out a white jade ball and threw it back. The jade ball turned frantically, and then burst out a scorching light that swept the earth in an instant. Although it blocked most of the power of purple thunder, some tiny electric snakes rushed to Jian Wushuang's side. Just when he was about to touch the electric snake, Jian Wushuang pulled Gong Miaoyi over, stopped her behind, and took the initiative to withstand the blow. What? The huge inertia caused Jian Wushuang to release Gong Miaoyi's hand, and the whole person flew out directly. A cloud of golden blood spurted out, and Jian Wushuang only felt that the entire source was trapped by the electric snake. This time it was not just a simple serious injury. If it is a simple injury, he can directly recover, and he has a powerful life source that can recover instantly. But after the electric snake entered his body, it entered his origin, and it would take 100 years at the fastest to disperse it. This time, he exerted great perseverance. At the same time, in order to ensure safety, he also has a lot of back players. If Gong Miaoyi ran away by the time, he also had a quick way to rescue him. Wu Zuo had given him the antidote. But in order to test Gong Miaoyi, the eyeliner of the confused Shadowzong cannot be easily used. Jian Wushuang clutched his chest, raised his head to see Gong Miaoyi flying over, and he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Not afraid of the other party running outside, Ukanshu. Com is afraid that the other party will run away now. Then lose your lord. He didn't have to run away, just let Wu Zuo kill him. Without Gong Miaoyi's support, his plan would be difficult to succeed. Gong Miaoyi is used to confuse the gods. It's up to the other party to be fooled. Go. This time Gong Miaoyi pulled him directly into the teleportation formation of the central hall. Qiu Huang didn't say much, just nodded for a moment, and then directly opened the big formation. Immediately before Wu Zuo descended, the two escaped smoothly. The Wu Zuo who arrived here was extremely angry. I can't tell at all that it's pretending. Chapter 55-28. Qiu Huang. Wu Zuo stared straight at the opponent and shouted angrily, "Come here, take him to jail." This situation occurred on his side, and a group of people from the law enforcement hall also came. After hearing Wu Zuo's order, several emperors immediately took action and directly suppressed Qiu Huang. "My lord, there is still a situation on the prison side," a law enforcement hall emperor said cautiously. Wu turned his head to look, his eyes could kill. When the law enforcement hall hears the order, all members of the law enforcement hall in the Northern Territory can be transmitted. Jian Wushuang must be captured. Whoever catches Jian Wushuang will reward 10,000 square cosmos crystals. As soon as this remark came out, everyone was moved. 10,000 square cosmic crystals. There are only 3 palace owners and Wu Zuo in the Palace of the Elders. You must know that Tai San controls Fu Shou Tang, and only after so many years has he harvested 30,000 square cosmic crystals. For the 6th Order Emperor, 10,000 square cosmic crystals, that is a huge amount of wealth. For all the worth of a 6th Order Emperor, there is no 10,000 square cosmic crystal. Only some special 6th Order peak emperors have such strong financial resources. Not everyone is as lucky as Triathlon. There is a pro-elder brother who is the most powerful and one of the 3 palace masters of the Senate Palace. He himself even sat in the position of Fu Shou Tang's hall master. Otherwise, there would be no worth of 30,000 universe crystals. Although some inheritors were tempted, Jian Wushuang's strength was too strong, and they were not sure at all. At present, most of the inheritors are around the 5th Order peak emperor. Most of the powerhouses who have achieved the 6th Order Emperor in such a short time will not be in the Palace of the Elders. Now the first wave of inheritors is the 6th Order Emperor, the second wave is the fifth-order emperor, and the third wave is the emperor who has just joined together successfully. In the Tomb Mountain, it is common for the fourth-order emperor to succeed in He Dao. After the second-rank origin Dao has successfully reached the ultimate harmony, he will directly become the fourth-order emperor. This is no surprise. The weakest group is still Dao Jun. These Dao monarchs are actually able to get along quickly, and even have a high success rate. However, with the lessons learned from the past, most Taoists want to go to He Dao after the origin of the Dao is consummated. Such a successful combination is the fourth-order emperor, who will soon be able to reach the fifth-order emperor. Sitting 5 and looking 6, you can even pursue the ultimate. With the support of Chishan Temple, they have no reason not to pursue the strongest. You know, those ultimate Dao monarchs, after seeing Hui Qing becoming emperor, are directly the fifth-order peak emperor, and their combat power is comparable to the sixth-order peak emperor, and even the ultimate Dao monarch has to go to completion. Go to He Dao again. But the ultimate way, the more difficult it is to go to the back. Jian Wushuang was very touching about this point. His ultimate Dao was complete, but the ultimate Kendo was still the 8th level. There is also a large part of the reason, because he has been slack in Kendo since he mastered Jidao. But at this point, after waiting for harmony, everything is returned to space, and this dilemma is gone. After Wu's were made the announcement, the people dispersed. There are many people who are tempted, but there are probably not many who are qualified to catch Jian Wushuang. Some powerhouses in the Senate have this qualification. As for the sixth-order emperors of the 4 great secret realms, most of them are not capable of this. Now Jian Wushuang's combat power is comparable to Tier 6 tops. If you face those indigenous emperors, the sixth-order peak can also fight. As for the super strong, these people dare not move easily. Can't listen to Wu's side words. What if Master True Spirit wants to keep Jian Wushuang? This may also be true. Said to be chasing and killing, no one is going now. But the Law Enforcement Hall in the north has been dispatched. After Wu's were returned to the Law Enforcement Hall, he began to send orders to the Law Enforcement Hall powerhouses everywhere to intercept Jian Wushuang. Among the strongest dispatched, the weakest must also be the sixth-order peak strong. Although there are many strong people in the Law Enforcement Hall, there are only 10 strong people who have reached the peak of Tier 6. There are only 2 Deputy Hall Masters who can match the best. Deputy Hall Master Zhong, in Yuanyang Lake. There is also a Deputy Hall Master in the north. The strength of that Deputy Hall Master is not weaker than that of Deputy Hall Master Zhong. Wu's were directly contacted the other party and was solely responsible for arresting Jian Wushuang. At this time, Deputy Hall Master Zhong also won Li Mi porridge and others. Inside the hall, the origin of Li Mi porridge has been restrained, and now it is no different from a cripple. Identity, behind-the-scenes instructor, motive. Wu's voice was cold. But at the bottom of my heart, he was very puzzled. He was very clear about Lu Hua's tricks, and Wang Khan and others were also Lu Hua's confidants, and he knew this very well. However, this Li Mi porridge was able to conceal his own strength and even dared to go to jail. Who gave him so much courage? Li Meikong's heart was as grey as death. He fell into Wu's hand and he was finished. Fortunately, he passed the news that Jian Wushuang had been sent out of the Senate Palace. Of course, this was all he had imagined. At this time, the gods were mobilizing the shadow sect powerhouses from the entire celestial realm to search for Jian Wushuang in the northern realm. How can I care about an abandoned child? It's useless if you kill me. Li Mi Kanji's mouth was very hard, and he said that he was going to die, so it's better not to say it, but still alive. Wu's stood up and said gloomily, "You think I can't help it unless I say it? If so, then they really underestimate their Senate Palace. Without any means, how could he pull out the shadow sect in the north so clean? Fork out and send it to the criminal department to let them interrogate. If you can't come out, you don't want him to be comfortable, or I will make you uncomfortable." Wu's was furious and frightened everyone. Even Deputy Hall Master Zhong couldn't help but tremble. Wu's, what caused you to make such a big fire? A voice came from outside the hall, and then a wealthy man walked in. It was Emperor Lu Hua who was watching the joke. Wang Khan and the others, he had already sent him away, and it is estimated that they are all in the realm now, and the old man's palace does not have that long hand to intervene in the affairs of the realm. Let alone the law enforcement hall. The White Tiger Palace in the heavens alone crushed the law enforcement hall to death, and did not give them a chance to cross the boundary at all. Unless it was Wu Zuo who went to catch him personally, he couldn't catch it at all. Without a handle, he is naturally not afraid. Because of this little thing, Zhenling will definitely not blame it. Not to mention that a hall master has fallen, even if the palace owner has fallen, the true spirit will not frown. This is the pattern. Different patterns have different perspectives. The true spirit cares more about those inheritors, not those old guys who are lingering. In Lu Hua's view, this matter has reached this point, there is no problem, isn't it that a sixth-order emperor has fallen? Need this. After Jian Wushuang escaped from the north, what else could Wu Zuo do? Bai Hudian, looking at the jokes happily, wouldn't care about this kind of thing. Maybe Bai Hudian turned his head and went to find Jian Wushuang, and wooed him to join Bai Hudian. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-29. Who would take care of Wu Zuo? Wu Zuo saw the incoming person, his complexion recovered a bit, and then sat down on his own, and said coldly, "What are you doing here, watching me make a joke? Then dare to look at your jokes, it's just based on the brotherhood of so many years. I remind you, don't offend people who shouldn't offend for some cats and dogs." Lu Huadijun's words really came out of goodwill. At the same time, he was also buying time for Jian Wushuang. But as soon as this sentence came out, some people in the hall looked a little unsightly. Especially Deputy Hall Master Zhong, he was very unwilling, but the other party was the palace master, he could not refute, only clenched his fists. Some weak veterans will not say much. They are already weak and have little room for improvement, so they really didn't say anything wrong. It will not take long for the inheritors to replace them. Nowadays, most of the inheritors have entered the emperor, and if they have enough hands, the true spirit is more willing to use those inheritors. It's just that now is a period of radical cultivation, and they are all struggling for strength. Once they stagnate, they will come to the Senate Palace, or the White Tiger Palace, or the Azure Dragon Palace, to take on important positions. Regarding this point, Emperor Lu Hua is very open, and the future will be the world of inheritors, especially the strongest inheritors. It is unwise to offend these people. Even if Wu Zuo used to be a disciple of Chishan, that was before. He was embarrassed to attack Wu Zuo. Others didn't know. He knew that Wu Zuo had been removed by the true spirit. Apart from his strength, Wu Zuo had no one. Anything compared to the inheritor. If you talk about potential, Wu Zuo was like this in the ancient times. After living for so many years, now that he has recovered his peak strength, it is not much different from the past. I guess that's it for the rest of my life. That being the case, why don't you let it go and improve your own situation? What you said is so easy. Wu Zuo sneered, Jian Wushuang escaped from jail and it's all on you. Not only did you dare to plot against me, but also killed my beloved brother Tai San. There is no end to this. Lu Hua sighed, that's how you are. He disappeared after speaking. Wu Zuo didn't sneer from the bottom of his heart, and secretly said, look, who of us has the last laugh? Except for the person in charge, the others followed Deputy Hall Master Zhong to go to the north to capture Jian Wushuang. Even if you dig 3 feet in the ground and spend 9 days to catch the moon, you have to catch someone for me. Deputy Hall Master Zhong, that's what he was waiting for. Palace Master Lu Hua's words made him very upset. He wanted to catch Jian Wushuang to see how Jian Wushuang was better than them. Yes. After receiving the order, everyone didn't stay longer, and went straight to the central hall. Qiu Huang let Jian Wushuang go and was taken away, so naturally there were others in charge. After everything was arranged, Wu Zuo was left in the hall. With no outsiders, Wu Zuo was finally relieved. Sitting on the throne, began to figure out how to explain to the true spirit. He hadn't told the true spirit about the origin of all things, he was afraid that the true spirit would suddenly attack the dome in the origin of all things, and then the plan would be ruined, and the position of the palace lord would also leave him. After thinking for a long time, woos were set off directly to the Sea of Universe. Grown-ups. Woos were stood respectfully outside the pavilion. After Zhenling glanced at him, he calmly said, "The plan has begun." Very smoothly, Jian Wushuang has already reached the northern border. I believe it will not be long before someone will be hooked. Woos were replied. Zhenling nodded and said, "Yes, this time the plan is successful, and the Yuan Lao Palace is yours. I removed your name at the beginning, and you must have scolded me from the bottom of your heart. In fact, the Palace of the Elders was meant to be passed on to you, but you have no great credit and no influence, and it is not good to rush into position." After hearing these words, woos were knelt down and said in fear, "The subordinates dare not. All these are being tested by adults. I thank you for not having time." "Hehe, you can talk." Zhenling smiled. "There is nothing to do, just go down. There are some things you have to follow up personally, there can be no mistakes." Woos were firmly said, "Yes." The whole Palace of the Elders. This joy made him instantly forget what he was going to do. The dome in the origin of everything. Woos were swallowed and smeared. "I haven't had any trouble for so many years, so there shouldn't be any trouble on this joint. Originally planned to tell the true spirit of this matter, and then talk about the situation and the overall situation at the moment. But now Woos were, who has stunned his head with joy, intends to conceal this matter first. After he has captured Foiego, he will tell the true spirit. It will be double happiness. If you say it now, not only will it affect the plan, maybe the real spirit will blame him for not saying it in advance. The Palace of the Elders, which was about to fall, is gone." Zhenling also saw that Woos seemed to have something on his mind, but he didn't point it out. In his opinion, Woos pattern is so big, it is probably not a big deal, so he didn't ask much. Woos left the Sea of Cosmos with joy. Then there was a shocking news. Jian Wushuang rebelled and deprived the inheritor of his identity. Others don't know, but the gods who are paying attention to all this know that Woos has gone to the Sea of Cosmos to ask the true spirit. After seeing the true spirit, he announced the news, which also meant that the true spirit gave up Jian Wushuang. For a time, countless people shocked. Deprived of the identity of the inheritor, that Jian Wushuang might be over in this life. Unless you become the Lord of the Universe, you will always be hunted down. Under the chasing of countless powerful men, Jian Wushuang, even if he was extremely talented, would be good to be able to stay in harmony with him. To become the Lord of the Universe is simply a dream. After this order was issued, the entire northern border was in chaos. Countless people went to find Jian Wushuang. The native emperors who were hesitant in the past are now completely relieved and ready to do a big job. Many sixth-order peak emperors have already been dispatched. Even the sixth-order emperors from the other halls in the Palace of the Elders were dispatched. All rushed to Jian Wushuang. 10,000 square cosmic crystals. Who is not tempted? The most powerful people have a lot of heartbeats. In the Palace of the Elders was a commotion. Tomb God Mountain was in shock. Jian Wushuang was the first inheritor to be looted by the strong before he finished his trial. Now he is the first inheritor deprived of his identity. There is nothing to do with good things. The only major event that showed his face was the rush to the North Tower, but it hadn't been a few days. The news spread quickly, and it only took a month to make the city full of storms. At this time, Jian Wushuang was also caught in a rainy night city. The northern border, Giant Gate City. It does not belong to any state, but is managed by an independent supercity. End of this chapter. Chapter 55:30. Because in this city, there is a sixth-order peak emperor. Moreover, this emperor has something to do with the Yuan Lao Palace. Speaking of it, Jian Wushuang had seen this city lord not long ago. He was still in the North Tower, he was still the pride of the sky, and the opponent was just an ordinary sixth-order emperor. The native monarchs of the four great secret realms are the ants who are inexhaustible. Let alone the inheritors, even the veterans of the Senate Palace look down on these people. But Jian Wushuang had no identity anymore, just like a dog who lost his family. Not even an aboriginal emperor can match. Inside the dilapidated courtyard, Jian Wushuang is now wearing a sackcloth, and Gong Miaoi has a new look and a lean woman with short hair. I need time. Jian Wushuang coughed a few times before continuing. I trouble you these days. Gong Miaoi squatted on the side of the threshold, looking lazy, but his mental energy had been concentrated in the outside world, always on guard. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, she was in a daze. I don't know if it is good or bad to escape with Jian Wushuang. But the moment she went out with Jian Wushuang, she was relieved like never before. Especially Jian Wushuang told her that her father was in the mine, and even the name and portrait were drawn for him. Jian Wushuang did have several bonds with Nai Yuan at the beginning, and he noted down the other's appearance. He knew that the only way to hang Gong Miaoi was Nai Yuan. Not only drew the face of the other party, but also made up a story by the way. He had only said a few words to Nai Yuan. At that time, the identity of the other party was very embarrassing. Although he admired in his heart, he did not have deep friendship, or even nod friends. But it doesn't prevent him from making a story that is so heroic and bold. Gong Miaoi listened very carefully and was fascinated. Even before she knew it, she also told her mother's life experience. In this way, Jian Wushuang was even more certain. Nai Yuan was the one who ended up in the end because of a woman. Back then, Nai Yuan asked him whether there was a means to reverse time and space on the Tomb God Mountain. I'm afraid that the other party thought that Gong Miaoi and her mother had fallen, and they would have this idea. Later, he was busy escaping for his life, and never saw him again. Later, he asked someone to inquire about it, only to know that Nai Yuan was caught in the mine by the strong man of Fu Shou Tang because of a small matter. Jian Wushuang told Gong Miaoi about this very exaggeratedly. Fu Shou Tang. Gong Miaoi's expression sank. She also almost became a Taoist companion to the chief of Fu Shou Tang. Fortunately, she and Jian Wushuang were sentenced together. It's not far from the mine. If you don't use the teleportation array, I can take you to the mine within 100 years. Jian Wushuang said this very sincerely, because he really wants to go to the mine. Not only was it to copy the kendo in Nai Yuan's body, it was more important to let the gods know that he cared about Gong Miaoi very much, and it was because he cared about Gong Miaoi that he was sentenced to Yuan Laro Gong. Once the other party believes it, someone will be arranged to rescue him. When the time comes, follow the vine. As long as the other party still needs his source of everything, he will definitely let him go to see for ego. When the true spirit comes to the world, everything will be complete. It's just too simple. Now the gods are observing everything, not only did not come to rescue him, but also told the emperors and powerful men who came to chase him where he was. Associate Hall Master Zhong, there is news from Barbie that Jian Wushuang's hiding place has been found, and he is currently in Juman City. The Deputy Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall has already arrived in the north and has been searching for news. After hearing about the Giant Gate City, his face became cold and he said, "This thief probably has planned for a long time. I didn't know that it was destroyed by the thief before, and the people in the Central Hall have not repaired it. I am afraid it is related to Jian Wushuang. Hallmaster, do you want to inform Wu Shan's Deputy Hallmaster to cooperate with the arrests? No, we people are enough to deal with him. Let's set off now." Deputy Hallmaster Zhong was very excited, and then he glanced at these people. Since there have been many traitors in the Yuan Palace, he feels that his team is not good. Dare to trust it all. Everyone, hand over all the communication tokens. You can't tell anyone about this matter, and you can also inform Barbie. I don't allow them to move. I can't do without them for 10,000 square cosmic crystals. Yes. But Deputy Hall Master Zhong, who counts as much as possible, can't be counted. His immediate boss, Wu Zhe, is the biggest gangster. As soon as he left, Jian Wushuang received the news. At this time, while clearing the purple thunder from the source, he was talking about Nai Yuan with Gong Miaoi. After receiving the news, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but lifted up. It will take at least a year for Deputy Hall Master Zhong to arrive, so he doesn't rush away. For safety's sake, we will leave before the other party arrives. Gong Miaoi changed his normal at this time and said, "Jian Wushuang, this time, are you really doing it for me?" Looking at the other person's eyes, Jian Wushuang knew the answer she wanted. did not say much, just nodded. According to his experience, it is useless to say more than a sincere look. Actually, I have paid attention to your father's affairs a long time ago. Since you told me, I asked Senior Chiu Huang to help me find the trace of Uncle Nai Yuan. Now I have finally found it. I will see you in 100 years. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile and looked at Gong Miaoyi. Gong Miaoyi stared at Jian Wushuang, her rare Xingyan said like a flower. Then you are not afraid of having an ambush on the mine side? Now wanted in the whole territory, he will definitely investigate Jian Wushuang's motives and previous premeditated plans. It would also be speculated that Jian Wushuang would go to the mine. I am afraid that a net of heaven and earth had already been laid there at this time. What's so scary about? Have you ever seen me afraid? Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Along the way, I have not been afraid from my home universe to this mysterious temple of the god. Gong Miaoyi curiously asked, then have you ever been afraid? After Jian Wushuang finished speaking, he seemed to have thought of something again. He looked at Gong Miaoyi and said with affection, once. There was a difficult choice once, I was afraid of, but now I am not afraid. Gong Miaoyi stared at Jian Wushuang with flashing eyes, waiting for Jian Wushuang's answer. I'm afraid you won't follow me. Jian Wushuang's voice was a little low, and his complexion became ruddy. He hasn't said such nasty words for a long time. Gong Miaoyi wasn't embarrassed at all about this, she didn't hear it, and she turned her head and stopped looking at Jian Wushuang. It seems that I have the answer in my heart. Mind also turned to the mine, where there is her father. And outside the mine at this time, one of the two deputy masters of the Law Enforcement Hall, Deputy Hall Master Wu Shan, is here. Following him, there are also a number of sixth-order peak emperors. Hall Master, everything is set up. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-31. Wu Shan's face is very delicate, but he looks like a Confucian scholar, without the breath of any cultivator. Okay. You will guard this place, and I will lead people to continue the search. He is the commander-in-chief who arrested Jian Wushuang this time, so he can't stay here forever. After the arrangements were made, the search began based on the information obtained. There is an unknown strong in Liuju. 4 fifth-order emperors appeared in Hanju. Their identities are unknown. A sixth-order emperor appeared in Zhongju in the north, who is not a local powerhouse in the north. News came in one after another. Based on this information, Wu Shan launched a search to confirm. As long as it is a powerful person above the fifth-order emperor, he must check one by one, and never let go of one. The emperor is not a daoist. No matter where he goes, he will be eye-catching. It's just that Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoyi both have treasures in them, and even the sixth-order emperor can't see the true strength of the two. Jian Wushuang was even more prepared, and now he and Gong Miaoyi are a pair of ordinary Taoist masters. And it's the kind of powerhouse who can't afford to sit on the teleportation array, wandering all the way to the giant gate city. If it is a person, Jian Wushuang's hidden means, let alone the sixth-order emperor, even Zhu Dian can't find him. The body of the Ten Lian can change its origin at will. Jidao contains 10,000 ways and can be switched at will. Only in this way, the gods couldn't find him. He didn't really want to escape, he just wanted to secretly attract the gods. In the giant gate city, after 80 years of hiding, the purple thunder in Jian Wushuang's body has all been repaired. It's a little too smooth. Jian Wushuang frowned. 80 years ago, he got news from Wuzhua, and Deputy Hall Master Zhong had already brought people here. According to the distribution of law enforcement halls, someone should arrive early, but at present, he did not feel the breath of any sixth-order emperor. Everything is weird. And when he left the Senate Palace, he didn't divulge any news. When he first arrived at Giant Gate City, even Wuzhua didn't know his location. It is strange that Deputy Hall Master Zhong was able to receive the news, but he underestimated the law enforcement hall. Fortunately, Wuzhua secretly informed him, so he could be prepared. The strength has returned to the peak. Jian Wushuang has nothing to fear. He hasn't come out yet, it's just some sixth-order emperors, and he can also deal with it. But Gong Miaoyi's strength is a little bit worse. Are you recovered? Gong Miaoi quickly got up when he saw him walking out of the house. Jian Wushuang nodded and said indifferently, "It's not a fatal injury, it's been recovered 7 or 88 over the years. If there is an accident, he can instantly recover to the peak. It's just not necessary." Now, he still couldn't make sure that Gong Miaoi was really fine. He needs to be confirmed again. Stay here long enough, we have to change place. Originally, according to his plan, he would hide here for 10,000 years, when the time came to wait for the limelight to pass before going out slowly, but now it has been exposed, he had to leave early. Gong Miaoi is very excited about this, because this time he will go directly to the mine. "Clean up, we are ready to go." Jian Wushuang leaked a smile. Is about to face, countless people are chased and killed. It is also interesting. His current strength has long been different from what he used to be. Among the Sixth-Order Emperors, except for the existence of those peaks, they are not his opponents. Especially those indigenous emperors. The two people's current identities are just Dao Jun, leaving this huge city. It is also very ordinary, there is no enough to leave Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoi. Only in this way, they are too relaxed and too smooth. How can I believe it if it is so true? Therefore, before setting off, Jian Wushuang deliberately left a very secret aura. As long as Deputy Hall Master Zhong arrived, he would be able to discover it. This breath was the power of thunder that woos were left in his body. The other party will not know. After the two left the small courtyard, that trace of thunder power was reflected in a puddle. But in that puddle, a human face appeared. Even Jian Wushuang hadn't noticed this. The two went straight to the north gate of Giant Gate City, where there are many flying treasures, which are much faster than Daojun flying. They need to cross at least 19 major states to go to the mines. This road is extremely dangerous, except for the Emperor and the strong, the General Taoist will go with each other. Those who dare to walk alone are ruthless. Go to Qinghe Nyozhou Taoist fellows, hurry up. If there are emperors and powerful people, it is absolutely safe all the way. Guangzhou. Many people yelled, attracting many Taoists to come. Brother Dao, even across 3 states, this price. A man with a fair face, who looked like a teenager, stepped forward and asked for the price. And behind him stood a chilling young girl with short hair sideways, very capable. These two people are Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoyo. The yelling Taoist strongman is not weak, it is estimated that he has half the strength of the emperor. After looking at Jian Wushuang, and then glanced at Gong Miaoi, he also had a price in his heart. The more powerful the practitioner, the lower the fee. If it is an emperor, I am afraid they will have to pay for it, because there are strong people who can keep the journey safe. This flying treasure, but innate treasure, is not cheap. There are no ordinary emperors. When flying outside, it is rare to encounter emperors who kill people and overtake goods. If only you too, 60 sacred stones. The man in Jinpao said, "Don't worry, this time the Bluebird Palace has the emperor and the strong, and there is no danger along the way." He was afraid that Jian Wushuang would leave because it was too expensive, so he explained the benefits. With Jian Wushuang's current status, it was a bit expensive. Actually want 60 sacred stones. The Taoist monarchs in the casual cultivator are very ordinary, and a few thousand sacred stones are not bad, and it is indeed expensive to spend 60 sacred stones on a trip. Brother Dao, the strength of Dao Lu and I are not too bad, both have the strength of Dao Sovereign. In normal times, there are only 20 sacred stones. Why did it suddenly rise so much? Many, even if there are senior emperors in charge, you don't need so many. Jian Wushuang said very tactfully, he just wanted to lower the price. It's just that there are so many here, and his opening made the people who were watching also surround him. The man in Jinpao frowned, fearing that Jian Wushuang would affect his voice. He shouted loudly, "Herr, the emperor is walking with you, you should be proud, maybe you are lucky, and you can still get the emperor's guidance. This kind of opportunity is only accepted. Are you 60 sacred stones?" As soon as the voice fell, many people cursed secretly in their hearts. The emperor pointed. What did this person treat them like, as an arrogant man or as a fool? After cultivating to the Taoist monarch, if you want to join the Dao, you need to worship the sect, but when you reach this state, The general sect does not accept it. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.